What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I seen this video the other day, and you're gonna see it, of these Arabs, right? These Arabs, barely Arab, all right, because they're more white than Arab, right? And they're claiming to be the ancient Egyptians, and they're Egyptian now, modern day Egyptians. They're wearing their little so-called cosplaying tunics, right? Egyptian tunics, which is funny, by the way, because when those black Kemites, all right, when they wore what they were wearing were beads, okay? And they weren't wearing no goddamn shirt, all right? With their locks and their braids. And these white boy Arabs, right? They can't just wear beads because them beads will burn their fucking skin in the sun. Their skin can't handle wearing just ceramic or clay beads. It would burn their goddamn skin off of their chests if they were to step outside into this African sun with their Arabic clothing. That's why they wear desert spacesuits. Have you not noticed? Arabs wear desert spacesuits because their bodies are not meant to be in that environment. They can't do what I'm doing right now in Africa. You see this? I ain't got no shirt on. Why? Because this is my environment. All right? This is my biome. It's not their biome. Right? These are desert nomadic people that have no history of advanced civilization at all. So they still cosplay African civilization. And here's the great thing about the age of information, all right? In this new day and age, as Africa is rising, black Africans will take back the North. We'll take Libya. We're going to take Egypt. We're going to take all that shit. The Arab population in North Africa, very small comparatively, right? The livable populations are on the coast of the Mediterranean. There's not that many of them. And we've already taken back a lot of the North, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, from those Arab savage, barbarian invaders that's causing problems for the West Africa. All right? But I'm just going to put some information here, like I always do. We're never going to let you Arabs. First of all, we got business to handle with you guys. So when we're done with this savage European barbarian, you best believe you Arabs are next on the docket. You know why? Because there's not that many of you at the end of the day. You guys emulate your enemy is them white folks who've been disrespecting and killing you, nomad savages in them deserts, who have no respect for you or anything you guys are about. But while you guys are fighting them, right? Why you guys can complain about the racism that they place upon you, the genocide has happened within your now nations by these Europeans, while still trying to hold on to some sort of second-rate subjugation of Africans. Guess what? The new day is coming. And Africa will take back everything that belongs to us. We're going to go up on all your goddamn houses, all your rich Arabs, all that shit y'all stole from us that y'all got in y'all basements. We're going to get all that shit. We're going to reclaim our history. We're going to reclaim our land. All that shit's coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because you know why? Because nature is on our side. The sun is on our side. The God is on our side against you. The God on our side, that sun is burning you guys up in that desert. It's causing y'all getting skin cancer and all kind of shit. All right? Y'all being pushed further and further and further and further into smaller and smaller livable areas. Y'all getting demolished by the brand spanking new evil, savage, barbarian European, right? Everything that you guys have ever done to Africans, you're reaping what you sow by that barbarian, savage European that you could never defeat. You guys take nothing but L's from that European. And we Africans just sitting back watching you take L's. Even though, because we're empathetic, nice human beings, we, the Palestine thing, we're all, genocide is bad. I mean, in general, it's bad. I don't want to see you guys die, but y'all gonna go. You know what I'm saying? And y'all don't have a large population anyway. And genetically, most of y'all are related because y'all inbred. That is the truth. That's not a lie. That is, in fact, a truth. Y'all very much inbred in the Muslim community, in the Arabic community, because y'all like marrying your cousins and shit. That's a thing. So I'm not taking shots. I'm just telling the truth, right? But I just want to let you guys know that we know who we are. And those Egyptians, those black Africans who built civilization, right? That taught white people their greatest civilization that they ever had, the Greeks, right? Who they worship, right? As the beginning of European civilization, even though those Greeks wouldn't call themselves some savage European, Anglo-Saxon, Francophone barbarians, though. They actually saw those ones as the enemies, as savage, inhuman barbarians, right? It was the barbarians that came that destroyed the Romans, who were like a second-class barbarian, after they destroyed the Greeks, who were somewhat enlightened and then lost their way, right? But anyway, without further ado, check out this information. We're never going to let you Arabs think. You guys look like fools wearing Egyptian clothes. You guys look ridiculous pretending like you can actually wear Egyptian clothes and look decent. There's nothing in your Arabic culture that shows any cultural consistency with anything that has to do with Egypt. Not one of you Arabs speak your original language. You see, real Egyptians with a real continuous culture would still be speaking in the Egyptian language, would still be practicing, at least to a certain extent, their traditional African religions and spiritual systems, just like in West Africa, just like in East Africa, just like in Central and South Africa. You still will be practicing your traditional spirituality, because Islam would be something that you would shun as second class, because you would be a proud African with a proud history. But none of y'all are like that. Y'all Arabs from somewhere else. None of you people belong where you are. Look at America. You see any Native Americans walking around New York Avenue? You see any Native Americans walking around D.C., going in New York? When you turn the TV on, do you see any Native Americans in North America? No, you see white folks. Why? Because white folks colonized the place. It only took them 300 years to do it. You Arabs had a little bit more than 300 years to colonize the north of Africa. That's why y'all look that way. And yes, we still know the original ones are still there. The ones y'all keep off camera. The original black Egyptians are still there. And those ones are still practicing their traditional religions, their traditional spiritual systems. And they still speak their traditional languages that is connected to other African languages. Linguistically, with words that are interchangeable, still wearing those ceramic beads around their chests, because the sun won't burn their skin off like you white Arabs and you white Europeans who pretend that y'all Egypt. That shit just don't make no goddamn sense. All right, with your thin nose that can't suck in that hot African heat, the way us black people are conditioned and primed to be in this heat. Y'all guys are an embarrassment to yourself. Y'all need to go find who y'all are. Y'all need to be worshiping camels and shit. Go out there and be proud about your camel freaking corridors and your routes you guys used to take when y'all was trading salt and sugar through the freaking goddamn freaking Silk Road and shit. Like, y'all do that. Talk about how y'all used to walk through the deserts and find little pockets of water to drink so I can get from point A to B. Y'all can do that shit. You can be proud of your nomadic history. But the Egyptian history, that shit belongs to Africans. And there's no amount of mental gymnastics. There's no science. There's no data that backs you up. You can have your Megatron, that weird dude with the long hair, that's make a career out of lying to his people, right? Talking about the Egyptians were some sort of, if they weren't black, they couldn't have been. If they're not Arab and they're not white and they're not black, they must be some mystery Atlantis alien. Everything but what they say they were. Everything but what's written and inscribed on them walls. Everything but them statues that y'all like to hide with that new sorry-ass museum where y'all whitewash the history. I'm sorry, that's just not going to fly. Anyway, without further ado, Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out. Tell me what you think in the comment section.
We are Egyptians, not Arabs. We are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians and the owners of the greatest civilization in history. We are the owners of the land. We are the greats.
If Arabs truly were the indigenous Egyptians, they wouldn't call it Egypt, they would call it Kemet. If Arabs were the true indigenous ancient Egyptians, they wouldn't be speaking Arabic, they'd be speaking Medunetter. If Arabs were the true ancient indigenous Egyptians, they wouldn't be praising Allah, they would be praising Isis and Osiris. If they were the true ancient indigenous Egyptians, they wouldn't even be practicing Islam, they'd be practicing Kemetic sciences or Kemetic spirituality.
How did Egyptians become Arabs? How did ancient Egyptians become Arabs? Most of the time when we think of Egypt, we think of ancient Egypt because of, film, media growing up. But how exactly did ancient Egyptians become Arab? So back in the day in Egypt, they spoke their own language, the ancient Egyptian language with hieroglyphics. And they spoke this ancient Egyptian language for thousands of years. Fast forward, you have the Greek and Roman period where Egypt was basically taken over by foreign conquerors, the Greek and the ancient Romans. Now when the Greeks took over, ancient Egyptian was still commonly spoken, but Greek became the administrative language of government. And that's how Coptic comes about, which is basically ancient Egyptian written in Greek characters. Now this Coptic language was the language of the Egyptian Christian community, known as the Copts. And bear in mind, by the time Christianity became Egypt's official religion, the ancient Egyptian kingdom was long gone. The last pharaoh, the last ancient Egyptian dynasty, ended when the Persians reconquered Egypt. So all of that was long gone. You just had the Egyptian Christians. Now, after the Arabs conquer Egypt now, the Umayyads, that's when things start to heat up. Almost everything in Coptic, which is ancient Egyptian, was replaced with Arabic. And this was in the late 7th to early 8th century. Now, these speakers of the ancient Egyptian language, the Copts, also had to pay what was known as jizya tax, or a non-Muslim tax, because they were Egyptian Christians. Because being a Christian meant you were limited socially in what you could do and what you could achieve. So many of them eventually learned Arabic or intermarried with Arabs. Muslim rulers such as Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim completely banned Coptic in public. And punishment was really, really severe. In fact, some people even had their tongues completely removed if they were caught speaking Coptic, ancient Egyptian. And as this Egyptian Christian, ancient Egyptian community began to shrink due to conversion, intermarriage, and adoption of the Arabic language, the Arabic language completely took over, and that's why Egypt is the way it is today.
And today we have the Arabs. The Arabs are not Egyptians. The white people you see in Egypt today are not Egyptians. They are invaders. It was their ancestors who came to Egypt around December 639 AD and invaded our African ancestors, our black African Egyptians. This was in December 639 AD, which propelled the Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade was so brutal that innocent African women were raped by Arab Muslims. The journey across the desert was so brutal for the Africans. Do you know that African women were sold to Chinese emperors who later used them as their sexual slaves, sexual objects? A particular conspiracy theory argued that when the African woman is pregnant for a Chinese emperor, the woman is killed and a baby. And Egypt has always been black. That is why they named their land Kemet, which means the land of the blacks. What are we saying? They have taken, they have stolen, they have plagiarized, they have distorted a lot of our history. Europeans cannot deny it. They worship black gods and goddesses. There was no racism then. Even the name for God, Amen, was copied from Amen-Ra, an Egyptian god of the sun. According to Homer, the first European to write a book in 833 BCE, he said that the Greeks copied the worship of Zeus from the Ethiopians. The Jews in 1700 BCE worshipped an Egyptian goddess called Goddess Hathor or Het Heru. They called her the golden calf in their Old Testament Torah, while the Greeks worshipped her as Aphrodite. If you want black people to believe you, tell them that everything that I'm saying was said by a white man. This is how black people are mentally conditioned to hate and demonize their African ancestors. They prefer a picture with a white person than a picture with their grandparents in the village. Africans are the only people who don't look like their God, because the God in their imagination is a white-skinned being presented to them by their slave masters. It is only people who don't know their history, as I said, that will always name their roads and streets after their colonizers. Only mentally colonized and enslaved Africans mock their fellow Africans for speaking incorrect English. But they forget that the Europeans cannot speak their local language. I tell you, my people, the colonizers gave you a language which you glorify to the point of declaring anyone who cannot speak it as uneducated. Did you know that in 1798, the French general Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Egypt? He saw the pyramids of Giza and was amazed, and also decided to sleep inside till the following morning. Did you know that after Napoleon came out in the morning, he was shivering with tears in his eyes, but strongly refused to answer any questions about what he saw in the night inside the pyramid of Giza? Historians argue that the French general never revealed to anyone what had rattled him, but it was believed that he saw something that marveled and mellowed him.
You would be surprised how much history is hidden in private museums. They don't allow these things in the big places. It's just like in Egypt, because the Arabs are not Egyptian. Don't make any mistake about that. It's just like we're in this room here. This is America. It would be hard to find a Native American in this room. The world has changed dramatically. There have been half a dozen invasions of Egypt, the Persians, the Greeks, the Syrians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Arabs. That is not Egypt. Egypt is no longer Egyptian. They have not a damn thing to do with the building of the pyramids. We now have hard proof, very hard proof, that Egypt was African when the pyramids were built. There is no question about it. This is not guesswork. This is not theory. We found the skeletons in the ancient graves. We found sculptures, which you'll never see when you go to Egypt. They don't put those things on display. But now we have the hard proof. And I'll deal with that later when we come to deal with the Egyptian section of this lecture. But I appeared before the Congressional Committee and I presented 12 witnesses, all European. Or they're going to say I'm Afrocentric if I show them this African said this. No, no, no. I'm going to take the very people that you think you will listen to. Columbus is the first person. I said, that's how I began. I'm not...
The ancient Kemites, not Egyptians, but Kemites, were not Arabs. Arab is an identity that developed 1,000 years later in connection with the Quran and the development of the Arabic language. The ancient Kemites were black African, not like me. My color maybe was in the New Kingdom, but in the Old and Middle Kingdom, they were black African. This has been proven over and over again by Sheikh Anta Diop and others. Linguistic proof, picture proof, craniometric proofs, DNA proofs. They even tested the DNA melanin of mummies. My advice to Africans is that you have to believe in the evidence that is right in front of you. This has been proven over and over again. Don't wait for the white Arab invaders to believe. They won't believe because they have a political interest to not believe. But you believe in the truth. The people who are called Arab today are not the same people who were called Arab thousands of years back. Where does Arab come from? They say it derives from ancient Syriac word Arbi, also in Hebrew Arbi, meaning nomad. That is not the true etymology. It comes from ancient Egyptian word Rebu, and the Syriac, Canaanite, and Hebrew languages all derive from the ancient Egyptian Rebu, which is the same as Libu, which is the same as ancient Libya. The land to the west of Egypt, which the ancient Egyptians in later time periods called the land of the nomads. So Rebu, Libu, Libya, the land of Fut, or Ful, or Futa. Rebu, making itself into ancient Hebrew, and Syriac, Rb, Arab, essentially nomad. The Prophet was nomad. The Umayyads were nomads. They practiced an old form of Islam, which the nomads of Sahara and Sahel still practice today. The people in the Middle East today are not these ancient nomads, and they don't practice the same ancient form of Islam. They are townspeople who have migrated there over time from Byzantine, Turkish, Aryan, etc. And thus on taking the Arab identity as a lingual identity. Later on with colonialism, eugenics and colorism, trying to marry whiter people and look more light-skinned. But that is not what Arab means. Arab means nomad.
Ancient Egypt used to be black. Now just let that thought sink in. What it is, when people visit Egypt today, and they say, we met some Egyptians. No, you didn't. You either met Arabs in Egypt or you met Turks in Egypt. And it's not just Egypt, the whole of North Africa was conquered by Arabians and Turks in the Middle Ages. The starting date that the invaders moved into North Africa was December 639 AD. And what that means is everything before that date is actually black history. Now, the ancient Egyptians are very, very important in the origin and the evolution of religion.
Same society. And I came from this background. And in Egypt, you identify as Arab and as Muslim. And in this country, when I first came, I identified myself as Arab American and Muslim first. And gradually, I became to identify myself as black. I came to the U.S. in 1978. And I became a U.S. citizen in 1985. When I became a U.S. resident, I was told by the Immigration and Naturalization that I am white. And I told them that I'm black, and they said, no, in this country, you are white. All Arabs in this country, all Arab immigrants are white. I didn't pay much attention in the beginning to this, because in the Arab world, we identify with our ethnicity first as Arabs, and then with the race second as black or white or whatever. But in this country, you identify with your racial group first and then with your ethnicity second. Gradually, I became black first and Arab second. And I rejected my white classification publicly for the first time in 1987, in February, as a panelist in a function sponsored by the Association of the Study of Black Life and History in Detroit. I said that I belong to two minority groups. I am Arab American and Black American, and I'm racially black and ethnically Egyptian. I was harassed by my employer right after that. I work for a white school district. The superintendent is white. All the associate superintendents are white, even though that we provide services to 30% black population. But the organization is white and the approach is very white. The attitude towards me changed completely after I went out publicly and rejected my white classification. One coworker came to me and told me, a white coworker came to me and told me right after the function that he met with the superintendent, and if I don't keep my mouth shut, my educational career is over. He said, you have nothing to do with these people, you have a history and a culture. These people came from the jungle, you have nothing to do with them. These people lie and steal. When I see one of them in my neighborhood, I call the police.
Now, I found out that the Greeks, who were supposed to have been the founders of civilization because they were the first civilized white folks, but the Greeks got their civilization from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were black people. And the Greeks passed their civilization on to the Romans, and the Romans were a very stupid, dumb bunch of people for the most part. They couldn't retain it, they lost it. They had a dark age in Europe for 500 years. And then another bunch of Africans, the Moors, from North Africa, went to Spain and started civilization all over again. So instead of Europe civilizing Africa, Africa has civilized Europe 2 times. That's what you have to keep in mind.
You're from Nubia? Yeah, Nubia. Egypt.
People always ask, are they really black Egyptians? Were they the original ones? Well, in this video, I'm headed to the black side of Egypt, the Nubian village. If you're curious to find out the answers, join me. Let's go discover the truth.
Hello!
It's the same color.
Yes.
You're my brother from another mother.
Your father is Nubian?
Yeah, Nubian this way.
Your grandfather?
Yeah, that's Nubian.
No. Single.
Single.
Wow.
Me too.
You too, single. Welcome to the black side of Egypt, the Nubian village. Good. Let me...
Hello,
Yeah.
Nubian handmade.
I'm coming. Yeah, man. Yeah. Guys, let's explore Nubia a bit on this. Hello. Hola. Salam. Está bien. Wow. This is spicy. How you doing, man? Hey, guys. All right. Whew. My God. Wow.
Oh, camel coming.
No. You know what? Let me go down here.
Oh my
Hello.
Bye.
Bye.
What size? Be careful.
Yeah, guys.
Mama, what size? 1 year old.
Careful the camel. Watch back, my friend. Watch out.
Good.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
You're Nubian.
Yeah, Nubia. This is my art. Look at my art here. Nubian artist.
Ah,
Yeah.
very good.
Camel leather and wood. Handmade.
Camel leather?
Yeah, this one, camel leathers.
You drew it yourself?
Yeah.
What is your name?
Muhammad.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, look at it. I wanted the Egyptian drink.
Tews mint or hibiscus?
Tews mint, the other one.
Okay, tews mint is hot thing.
Yes. Hibiscus
Hibiscus is cold.
Okay, give me hibiscus. Cold.
Okay.
Yes, I want something Egyptian. This is white. Hey, look at the smaller one. Are you kidding? Hey, there are two.
Yeah, like this.
Oh wow.
I take photo for you.
Good morning.
Yeah. Hello, my friend.
Hello. How is everything?
Everything nice. Hello. Salam.
Come.
Wow. Crocodile.
Big crocodile.
Are you serious?
Big. 25 years.
I saw another one that side.
25 years.
So is it a pet?
Yes, it's like a pet.
A pet?
Yes.
Wow. So
Most of house here, he has a crocodile inside. But
Wow.
not all, most.
Most, the rich ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is Pharaonic and this is Nubian. Look.
Ah, okay, this is Nubia.
Yes.
This is what?
And this is Nubian. This is Pharaonic.
Egyptian.
Egyptian Pharaonic. And this is Nubian.
Oh, wow. Also?
And they have more inside. Come.
This is how the room looks like.
دقيقة يا أحمد أصلي يا أحمد دقيقة أصلي بس عشان حرام أمسكهم
Very nice.
Because this is the Nubian price here, also in the gold. And one way here, the first one you go in the Imperial Garden, 800.
Are you serious?
So you would say that those are not the real Egyptians, right?
Earlier when we were talking about like the movies that they made back in the Western society, about, like the Egyptians looking blonde and fair skin, and like, come on, Egyptians were either tanned skin or dark Nubians. We don't say African Americans in Egypt, by the way. We say Africans or we say Nubians. So to us, you are a Nubian.
So that's why people keep calling me Nubian Queen.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you are Nubian to us. You are Nubia. So to the Nubians, we are Egyptians because we are the new Egyptians.
The new Egyptians.
The Nubians are the native Egyptians.
The ancient,
they were
right?
the ones who built ancient Egypt.
Wow.
Who built the pyramids, who built ancient Egypt civilization, who invented Egypt, as I would say, were the Nubians.
Egyptians are black. The real Egyptians are black. Because the real Egyptians, they are real Africans. So those people in Lower Egypt, you see, in Cairo, Alexandria, and the Falahins area, they were mixed between the Turkish, Mamluks, French, English, Romans. So those people who come to attack Egypt in that time, they couldn't come to Upper Egypt, to the south, which we still have the same color, our dark color or black color. So they couldn't mix with us.
Next question. Okay, what question?
مصريين أصليين اللي هم السمر. إنما البيض اللي كلهم you see, I explained to him about the Nubians and the Egyptians. They were not white. They are black Africans. So he say now, ليه هنا الناس لسه سمر في الصعيد وفي بحري بيض.
بحري دولة مش أساس مصر خالص.
He say the people in Lower Egypt, most of them they are not Egyptians. They are Greeks, Francois.
King Narmer the First.
I mean, I'm just using your logic.
the CT scan has one more surprise for Alejandro. Shammai's ethnicity.
Well, they have just told me that Shammai have a Nubian feature, which means that their ruling family was probably Nubian, and that was unexpected.
Examining Shammai's anatomy closely, the thickness of his bones and the shape of his nasal cavity, the anthropologists think he was a black African, likely from neighboring Nubia. A huge revelation that challenges the prevailing image of the Egyptian ruling class.
We always thought the ancient Egyptian elite were Mediterranean type, and in this sense, Shammai is representing the society of the frontier, in which different ethnic groups were mixed. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shammai was Egyptian.
Of his own ancient past, all thanks to a DNA test. He is joining us now by Zoom from Atlanta. Hello, Dexter.
Hello, Emily. How are you?
It's so good to see you. Last time was here in Israel. We got to get you back here, but we'll have to settle for Zoom now. You have such an interesting history. Please explain what made you do a DNA test, and then what happened when you found out all of a sudden that you're related to Ramses III.
That's a great question, Emily. Well, about a year and a half ago, I traveled to places like Israel, France, and different places like that. And so what happened was people would always ask a normal question, where are you from? And I would say the States, United States. And the people I saw in France would say, no, where are you really from? And I said, the States, that's all I know. And so that question stuck with me for a long time. And I just said, where am I actually from? I mean, I know I'm American, but where my DNA is from? And so I said, well, let me take my DNA test. It was a 23andMe DNA test. And I took the test, and I was shocked when I saw the results. It came back, and it showed that I was actually a direct descendant of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And I knew nothing of the pharaohs. Didn't know much about Egypt, but everything you hear about, Bible stories and things like that. So for me, it was a huge shock, and that's how I found out about it.
Wow. So obviously you took it deeper and deeper. You saw all of these synchronicities in looking at images of the pharaoh, how much you and even your brother look like them, and your own company has like an eye logo that looks like the Eye of Horus, unconnected to any of this. So what did this open up for you in terms of your own knowledge and learning about this?
I remember I was actually laying in my bed on Christmas Day, 2021, and I was going through my 23andMe DNA test, and that's when I saw that I was connected to the Pharaoh Ramses III. And again, I knew nothing of this situation. And so I looked up a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III, and when I saw the sculpture, I literally screamed. And my wife said, Dexter, what's wrong? I said, this guy from 4,000 years ago, we look just alike. And she said, Dexter, wait a minute. There were no pictures for 4,000 years ago. I said, no, his sculpture was the Pharaoh Ramses III. His sculpture, we look like identical twins. And she said, let me see it. She saw it. She said, oh, my goodness. And then I continued to go over different sculptures, looking online. And I saw the sculpture that looked just like my brother. If you could show that on the screen, it'd be absolutely amazing. But it was, and I looked at the sculpture and I said, this looks just like my brother Joe. And I called my brother Joe and I said, I'm going to send you something. And he said, where'd you get that from? It looks just like me. I said, that's a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And he said, oh my God, I said, that's over 4,000 years old and looks identical, just like you. So we were blown away, completely blown away.
And talk about the synchronicities. It's funny how the universe speaks to us. So you have a company that with the eye is a logo. You even have a dog that's similar to the dogs of Pharaoh. What?
As I kept digging more and more, I had a friend who's here in the States. He's from Israel, and he said, Dexter, he said, your logo that you have for your company, the eye, that you started like over 4 years ago. Looks just like the logo from the Pharaoh Ramses III. I said, what are you talking about? What did they have? And they had the Eye of Horus. And I looked at it, I said, oh my goodness, they had an eye as their logo. And my company's logo was an eye. And again, keep in mind, Emily, I found this out about a year ago. But I had my company established for over 4 years before that, my startup. And so I just kept continuing. I said, this is crazy. We actually have the same image, logo. And so I kept digging further, and I found out that they had dogs called the Pharaoh Hound, which is in the same family as the dogs that I own called Whippets, which are sight hounds. So They run just as fast, chase small prey. That's what they were bred for. So, and then I continued to look at it further, and I said, wait a minute, what was the Pharaoh Ramses III's name? When I actually looked it up, it was, they had different names, of course, but the name was Seti, S-E-T-I, Seti number 2. That was the Pharaoh Ramses III name. Seti number 1 was his father, the one that was the fought against Moses and the let my people go situation. So Seti number 2 was Pharaoh Ramses III. And I said, wait a minute, my company's name is actually Smart Eye Technology Incorporated. If you take the first letters, Smart Eye Technology Incorporated, it comes out this SETI. That blew my mind. I said, this is insane. So everything connected. And I'll never forget, Emily, my first trip to Israel in 2015, I went to the Negev Desert, and I felt so comfortable in a Negev Desert. I remember saying to myself, I feel like I could live here. But when I did more research, I found out that the Pharaoh Ramses III spent years in the Negev Desert trading. So again, these are all things I'm learning, and I felt like so much at home, and I just realized why.
Wow, it's incredible. So obviously you're still on your learning journey of, what this all means, but what is it like to kind of be this person who happened to get a test, discover this, and now we're also learning a little bit about what pharaohs look like. We have images from the 10 Commandments, as you noticed, but what does this tell you, and what do you want to do with this information?
I think it's all still learning. I'm still learning. If you saw the image of how I look, just like the Pharaoh Ramses III, every day when I look up in the mirror, I look in the mirror and I just see myself, and I said, this is crazy that this image that I see is identical to me. And this was from 4,000 years ago. So I'm still shocked every day when I wake up and look at it.
Thank you so much, Dexter. Next time I will interview you right here in studio when you get to Israel. Much appreciated.
My beginning comment here, ancient Egypt was in Africa. We can't really doubt that, can we? It's in the continent. But more important, ancient Egypt was of Africa. And that, of course, is not the way the past 2 centuries of Western scholarship have generally presented its history. It's long past time, I would say, for all of us to discard a whole set of old notions about Egypt, notions rooted in really the self-serving racialist presumptions of 19th century Europeans, notions that only too often people even today simply assume. They've never thought to examine those ideas. They're back in the background, informing our minds even when we're not aware they are. The most recent, maybe we should say generations, the last 30 years or so, of scholars and scholarship on Nubia and Egypt are bringing together a whole new body, and maybe I should say whole new bodies of evidence, revealing the African rootedness of pre-dynastic and early dynastic Egyptian culture.
This is exactly what I've been talking about. They try to whitewash the history. But check this out, the deeper they go, guess what they find? The more melanin they find.
So I was scrolling on earlier today and I saw this video and immediately felt satisfied. So I go to the comment section and said, let me express my gratitude for this moment. And I see this. Beverly said, no white man ever claimed to be Egyptian. Dude, get a grip. Well, Beverly, who this? Since you got such a strong opinion, you know everything, who this? No, see, because you brought this on yourself and Elizabeth Taylor was wilding. Who this? Yeah, cue the music. Type it with all your chest, just our chest now. Just type it tough. Type timidly. No, who this? Before we got out of here, who this? Who this is? Who is it? Who is it? You got all the answers. Who is it?
Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.